Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Detox Talks podcast, brought to you by Dr. Morse's Healing Herbs. Whether you are a returning listener or tuning in for the first time, welcome. In addition to our monthly webinars, we are here to chat about our monthly body system and tackle some of the most common questions we get from our customers about that system.
Hi, everyone. And this month, we're taking a broader look at the body, focusing on our holistic health need state product category. It's fall. We'll be guiding you through seasonal detox protocols, and we'll dive into herbal immune support for seasonal shifts, immunomodulation and allergy support, antioxidant-rich herbs, adaptogens, eye health, and oral care.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Thank you for joining us. I'm Colleen, here with my co-host, Jen.
Hello.
With our collective 20 years of experience practicing herbalism and working with Dr. Morse's formulas, we are thrilled to share insights and protocols that make using herbs accessible and empowering.
Let's get started. Explore these holistic health essentials for fall. This is a good season to nurture the body, get really prepared for winter, look at the seasonal shifts that are going to be necessary, not just mentally and emotionally, but also to what's going to be supportive and nourishing to the body for that long winter, cleansing the gut and the rest of the body and really fortifying that immune system.
Yeah, so that's like where we're going to get started, and then we're diving into so much after that. So we're just really going to start here at that seasonal shift. This is fall. We recommend 2 detoxes a year. If you're new to Dr. Morse's, this is the best place to start. We don't necessarily need you to be constantly detoxing and constantly observing a fruit-only diet. We really want you to consider that the fall and the spring are those 2 times of the year that are the most appropriate for a cleanse. These are transitionary seasons. Whether you're going into the height of summer with all of its exuberance and outward expression, or you're going into that kind of dark, introverted time of year that is the winter, you have spring and fall to help get you there. That's the time to prepare. It's a mental preparation. It's mind, body, and soul. All of that goes into preparing for the winter ahead. Jen lives in Florida, and it might not be as huge of a shift from fall to winter. Where I live in California, we get a lot of rain. We get the fall leaves. It gets very cold at night, but I don't get any snow. And then there's those of you who live deep in the snow and have to shovel every day. Seasons are a huge part of how we exist on Earth and move through life day to day. We can't just live in a vacuum. We have to be aware of what's happening around us and show up to meet it. So we're talking about a fall detox. Whether you are brand new to detox and you want to just try starting to gently open up those eliminatory pathways versus going into full deep detox protocols. Jen's going to help you break down what the difference is between, or what the evolution of that process looks like based on where you're at in your journey.
You made an important point. If you're just getting started, maybe you're not sure where to start with the autumn season, getting a detox started, especially if you're new, you can work with our daily detox kit or the Fab 4. It's just 4 simple formulas, foundationally supportive, that we focus on: the kidneys and bladder, endocrine, GI formulas, and lymph drainage formulas. And the good thing about at least the Fab 4 is if you have problems moving your bowels, you can opt for a different GI mover instead of just the daily, or if you're moving too frequently, you can use the loose. But then if you are experienced with detoxification, you're looking to maybe just do a last push before winter, or it's just these last several weeks before that real dramatic shift, especially if you're in a northern climate, consider starting with any of the ultimate detox kits. And if you're very experienced and want that deeper cleanse, then look at starting in week 9 and just go through the remaining kits. It's a good way to build on pathways you've opened up, that lymph movement and that you've established, and rebalancing that gut. And it's just that holistic perspective. And that's what we're really going to be talking a lot about today. How does this all tie in with autumn too?
Jen's saying the 2 kits she mentioned for the early detoxer are just 4 formulas: endocrine, urinary, digestive, and lymphatic systems. And then you get into that ultimate detox kit, and there are 9 formulas, Jen?
Yeah. Definitely. Yep.
Yeah. So you're already committed in a whole different way when you're doing the ultimate detox kit. Diet is a huge factor. And why she's saying that we would suggest you start with week 9 if you're getting into this kind of deeper work is because the lymphatic formulas get more intense.
Yes, they do.
And there's 2 kidney bladders that go with that, right?
Yes. Making sure those kidneys stay open. Start with the daily detox, Fab 4. Even if you've noticed no filtration or it's been a while since your cleanse, maybe you did it in spring and haven't done a thing since. Spend a little time opening up those pathways again with the daily detox kit or Fab 4. That would be another good suggestion. Not just for newbies, but returning back in after a hiatus.
I learned this from you because you've been with Dr. Morse's formulas and Dr. Morse for many years, and I'm relatively new. Explain to our audience why we put the 2 kidney bladders with the stronger lymph formulas.
Really, it's about keeping kidney pathways open and supporting the urinary system, because that's one elimination pathways. These formulas with their herbal structure are multifaceted. So they'll have their lymphatic system benefits and also all of their eliminatory organs like the skin and liver. It is possible to detox too fast. You can get lymph flowing quickly for some people, and there's no way to really eliminate that amount of wastes that quickly. So it backs up, and you might see some of those or experience some of those unfortunate discomforts or effects from just moving a little too fast. So we want to make sure those elimination pathways are open before we get too aggressively moving lymph.
I'm picturing it as this floodgate of lymph fluid that the kidneys are just not prepared for. And so it's almost a waste of the energy and the herbs and the formula because they just end up recycling into the system.
I remember that first experience. Everybody out the gate wants to do everything right, perfect right away. I was one of those. And man, did I just feel like I was starting to come down with something. And sure enough, that was my first lesson. This is what it is. You can't go too quickly. Open those kidneys up. So
it just really speaks to how we want to grab that magic pill that makes us feel better instantly. And people, that's what you get oftentimes with pharmaceuticals. And so it's tricky. With herbs, there is a waiting game. There needs to be that time to gently move things and to get things in position. Starting with diet is best before you even touch the formulas. And oftentimes our clients that we work with in that way, they end up having to wait for the formulas anyway, just because of shipping. And it's a great opportunity to really just start practicing the raw fruit diet so that by the time your formulas arrive, things are more fluid.
Yeah, you aren't contributing to acidosis further. You're honestly helping initiate cleansing processes. By the time the herbs get there, it is enhancing it. And when you look at the diet too, you have that 80-20 versus the 100% raw. When do I do which? If you're just starting out, you might consider yourself more acidic. My diet certainly was. 80-20 might be a good step for you initially. I went 100% raw and experienced deeper cleansing. So you get really excited. And I'm sure so many people listening to this will be raising their hands like, yes. And maybe it was just too much. That momentum going down the hill and just collecting. But you need a way for that waste to come out. So 80-20 versus 100% raw. You'd want to get the maximum benefit, 100% raw. But use that 80-20 as the launch pad to work yourself towards progressing to 100% raw. Be mindful of your food combinations. Don't eat too heavy too late. Try to make sure that's middle of the day before bed, just to make sure you're digesting as optimally as possible.
For those of you who are brand new, what she's saying is that it's not 20% of your food is junk food. It's that it's 80% is raw and 20% can be cooked, steamed vegetables. You're still eating all vegan and you're still only eating fruits and vegetables. And a lot of vegans come to us and they're like, I eat vegan. And then they talk about all of those processed foods that they are consuming every day that come out of the freezer section that contain tons of soy and other preservatives. And we're not talking about any of that. That's not 20% of your diet here. Label read. Remember, this is about going back to the basics, fruits and vegetables. A lot of folks start with the 80-20 because especially going into winter when temperatures get colder, it's nice to have hot broth or steamed vegetables at night. That's the 80-20 versus 100% raw, no cooked foods. So now oral health. We have some products, but people forget how important it is to take care of your teeth and your mouth. Imbalances in your body can manifest in oral health. Let's talk oral care. Oral care is important for detox, Jen.
Most people know if they've experienced discomfort in their mouth, sensitive or bleeding gums, any kind of experience, sores, whatnot, coating on the tongue. That alone just reflects imbalances in acidity within the body, bacteria, also the connection to the gut. You know, that microbiome is really unstable. And a lot of this does come down to our food combinations and our food timing, how we ingest things. And many of us have that diet routine where what we're combining, they're offsetting one another. It just lengthens digestion and the transit time for all of this, which will have its impacts on the saliva pH, the acidity of the mouth. And then, there's plenty of research out there that just shows the connections of poor oral health to other immune system problems that we're going to be talking about, and just overall acidosis. And another thing is it's your mouth. You need it for digestion. You need it for getting nutrients. You need to be able to chew your food, and you need your teeth strong and stable.
Yeah.
Your saliva pH should be adequate enough to where it's not too acidic to deteriorate some of these delicate tissues and that it erode the enamel. Your teeth get sensitive. You don't need it to disrupt digestive enzymes and whatnot. So people are probably like, what pH should I have? I'm going to tell you. It's okay. A good range is 6.7 to 7.4. But if you could have it neutral to slightly alkaline, that's better for as far as cleansing and seeing the rebuilding tissues, maintaining what you already have and work on repair. And of course, everybody likes a smile. Good vibes. Keep a healthy mouth, smile more. We need more people smiling nowadays. I'm just going to say that.
And another cool fact about the teeth that I learned when I had an Ayurvedic teacher that I learned with in my herbal program. And she was talking about how every tooth has both a lymphatic and a blood supply. And every tooth is alive in that way and absorbing from what's in your mouth. And so what you're putting into your mouth and also what's manifesting in your body, as that blood is passing through each tooth, it's picking up any imbalances in the teeth, any sort of decay or issues in the mouth. That blood is passing through there and collecting and having an immune response. That's being brought back to general circulation. The immune system is totally triggered by stuff that's going on in the mouth. And we are talking tooth and gum powder, but another great therapeutic is oil pulling. You take oil, put it in your mouth. This is an Ayurvedic practice. And you swish about a tablespoon for a few minutes and spit it out. Don't swallow it. And that oil is pulling. So it's really good at drawing out anything that's building up and getting stuck in the teeth.
So what are your thoughts on the herbal tooth and gum powder? Can kids use it? What if I swallow it? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I love this herbal tooth and gum powder. If you haven't tried it, please order some. It's very cool. It comes as a powder and you can play around with it. My favorite way is to put my natural toothpaste on my toothbrush first and dip it into the powder. So the toothpaste gets coated in the tooth and gum powder and I brush with that. I have yet to try it with my 3.5-year-old, but I would be stoked if she would be willing. I just think she wouldn't like the flavor. It's not a bad flavor. Cinnamon, vanilla, spearmint. It's got a nice flavor profile. It's got some resin, acerola cherry, baking soda, golden seal. So it's got a beautiful array of herbs and supportive substances that help with gum tissue and bone health in your mouth.
It does taste
good. It's great.
I'll agree with you. Yeah, it's a little different, but you'd feel polished. Your mouth is clean or no residue after.
And can you swallow it? People ask. And I am fine with a little bit getting swallowed. Kids, it's hard to keep them from swallowing toothpaste. But there's nothing terrible in here. You're only using a tiny amount. Baking soda and diatomaceous earth is in it. So a little bit of that is not going to hurt. You just don't want to be taking copious amounts. One of the first places we absorb herbs is in the mouth. As you're brushing, you're absorbing the phytochemistry of these herbs and they're going into circulation. So they're not only helping with supporting mouth health, but also just a lot of these herbs and a lot of Dr. Morse's other formulas. He's got white oak in here. Plantain is a beautiful herb for drawing things to the surface. I love it for splinters and wound care, and because it's a mucomodulator, it's got both hydrating mucilage as well as tannins, and so it's just got this really beautiful balance for toning the tissues of the mouth. So you're not getting that from your normal toothpaste. There are some good ones out there, but this is really taking your toothpaste, launching it to the next level. So yeah, definitely check it out. Great for supporting oral care. And again, that oil pulling and rinsing with some salt water are all really great options for keeping your oral hygiene on point. And flossing. I know people hate it, but it's important to floss.
Just do it.
So here's the big one. Fall is here. All the noses start to run. All the kids are coming home with the runny nose and we're all feeling it in the air. Is it the pollen? Is it the dust? Is it the rain? We're definitely our immune systems are on high alert and things are changing. And it's, for some of us, these seasonal shifts, it's coming and you're like, oh boy, here we go. I'm going to have irritated eyes. I just know that it's coming. I hate this time of year. So there's things that you can do both in the moment and preventatively with herbs to support this shift into winter and this fall
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
We're going to try, it's a big conversation. We're going to hit different points here. So bear with us if we end up going a little bit all over the place. But what we're trying to paint for you here is a picture of how we can support ourselves when feeling that scratchy throat or irritated eyes, and what we can do to build our immune response. Jen, you're going to start us off.
I'm going to talk about itchy, scratchy throat. I've been hearing that a lot. The first thing we go to is the throat soothe spray.
Love that
And that's
formula.
exactly what it does. It is very soothing. And I know I mentioned, like, when you're talking about in the moment, some other remedies aside from the throat soothe spray. Use that on a daily basis. If you start feeling that postnasal drip, start coughing, give yourself a spritz, and be mindful of your diet. Avoid mucus forming foods. But that saltwater rinse, just besides a mouth rinse, it's also a good gargle that can help thin mucus. Mucus moves irritants out, encourage drainage and expectoration, and that throat soothe can do that all while keeping things a bit calm. If you're in that meeting or in the middle of a webinar and you need to just start coughing, have throat soothe spray. And of course, staying hydrated, of course, or herbal teas.
Oh, so good.
But those are other ways to support internally. And Colin said, when you're looking at maintaining, we want to stay hydrated. Oh, and herbal inhalants, steam inhalants, aside from the teas. Again, encouraging that drainage. That way you don't get that irritation and whatnot. And then, plus that congestion and pressure.
Yeah. The whole inhalant thing, I'm glad you brought that up. In a previous webinar, when we were talking respiratory health, we talked all about how to do an herbal inhalant. So definitely revisit that episode. The other day, it rained here, and we have this hike that we love to go to that's in the redwoods near our house. It was so soothing to go into the woods after a rain as the sun's coming up and all the volatile oils are releasing from the plants. It's called forest bathing. It's now a thing because people live in cities and never go outside and get in nature anymore. So they had to name it something. And there's forest bathing experts, and I believe it is based in Japan, that concept. But I think anyone who lives close to nature knows how healing it is to go and breathe in those volatile oils. It just smells so good. It reset my whole family for the week, just getting our feet on the earth and breathing in that beautiful smell of wet earth. Be sure to get outside, take deep breaths, and go places where the air is clean and you can really take in those volatile herbs. If you don't have that and you want an inhalant, you can use essential oils. A quick one is a couple of drops of lavender or eucalyptus. Rub your hands together and breathe it in super deep like that. So that's a great one for a quick relief. In the moment, what do you do to feel better? We'll get into preventative in a moment. We have a fire cider formula that we sell on the site, which is lovely, but it's just your warming, stimulating herbs that you really love in this moment. A lot of those seasonal shifts come with congestion. Hot herbs like cayenne, habanero pepper, horseradish, all in fire cider, help dilate blood vessels, move blood, and help you take a deep breath. They're mucolytics, helping to take that congestion and liquefy the mucus. That is all from those warming volatile oils in herbs. Garlic, ginger, horseradish, onion, serrano, and cayenne pepper. We use fresh ingredients. This is such a cool formula. This is the best way to make fire cider is you get a big mason jar, you put fresh garlic, ginger, horseradish, onion, pepper, sprinkle of cayenne, cover it with apple cider vinegar, steep, strain, and take it. You can make this at home, but if you're busy, you can get it from us. And know that we make it with fresh ingredients, which is so cool. So yeah, fire cider, I dilute mine. I'm really a wimp when it comes to spice. It is a very hot formula. We did a thing when we were at the last time we visited the manufacturing facility. We went in and we watched some of our coworkers try it out, and the looks on their faces. They had never had it before.
Keep that in mind. Remember your first time that you took one of Dr. Morse's formulas and then
blew their steam was coming out of their ears. That's mucolytic, liquefying mucus. Now we'll move on to scratchy, irritated eyes. What do we do with that?
Usually right along with the irritated throat. People complain about dry eyes, puffiness. And it can be a seasonal thing, and it can be due to other associated health issues. Obviously, we're acidic inside from the cleansing aspect, but really a lot of this segment is talking about how you're managing these symptoms probably while you're cleansing and being exposed outdoors at the same time. Because you've probably heard Dr. Morse say, go catch a cold. We certainly are worried about the lymph terrain. You have some things can be very aggravating. And while you're building and fortifying that response, that healthy inflammatory response, you manage some symptoms to keep yourself on the bandwagon to keep going. So that's a lot of what this is about. So with the eyes, keep using the throat spray, keep up with those herbal inhalants too, because that will help. because that dry, colder weather, the wind, that can be very irritating to the eyes. For those looking at that bright white snow, of course, you want to make sure when that comes up that you're not staring. It's like staring in the sun down here. I know we're going to talk about more about the remedies here in a moment, especially helping manage on your cleansing, but you still want to stay hydrated with water and juices, keep elimination pathways open, and drain the head. Like everything we were just talking about, and Colleen was saying at the fireside, loosening that mucus, thinning it out. That's part of eye health.
You can do lymphatic massage to do that. We have some head formulas. What would you say would be the best kind of drain the brain formula that we've got?
Oh my goodness.
It's like a lymph kidney.
Yeah, but the lung detox was very good too. And even the 3 herbs, those 2 formulas can get things opened up. Yeah. Dr. Morse had a lung detox 1 and a lung detox 2. We call them lungs 1 and lungs 2. This is probably how 3 herb came into the mix, and then lung detox was formed into one formula because it's good at pulling, draining, breaking junk up.
Nice. I love that. And then you can also do massage, gently pulling on the area around your ears and sides of your neck.
Sternocleidomastoid. You've got a few others. I don't know all 664, 604 in it. Yeah, that's.
And you can press right here in your clavicle. Right behind the clavicle is where you push your lymph down. Remember, everything drains into the area of the heart, right behind the rib cage, pulling everything out of the head. Yeah. And into that lymphatic duct. Exactly. Yeah. For the eyes,
we're going to talk about, of course, eye compresses. We talked a little bit in the webinar yesterday about hot and cold, like when to use what for more chronic eye problems. I use warm compresses for something more acute. Yes, you're probably going to, especially if red feels warm, you're going to want to use that cold pack. Cold compress. So when we talk about how to make them and with herbal teas or just herbal blends and how you can use it when it's nice and warm, or you can use it and refrigerate it, that feels really good, by the way. You can do this for sunburns for the eye compresses, how often and what to use.
Another remedy for the eyes is the eye health formula. There's a trick I learned in herb school. Right before bed, you wouldn't want to do this before bed, but right before you get in bed and close your eyes for the night, a drop of castor oil in each eye. So that's all in the moment, what to do, how to help yourself feel better. But now we're going to dive into how do we support with herbs? How do we build up the body over time so that we maybe have less of a strong reaction the next time the seasons shift again and spring is coming? If you're experiencing seasonal discomforts now, this is a good time to start. The first thing I want to talk about is antioxidants. What is an antioxidant? Our body is constantly oxidizing. Oxygen, which we breathe, depletes the body over time and breaks down cells. To antioxidize, you want an antioxidant. We have free radicals in the body. It's a lot of the waste product, cellular waste, and the breaking down of tissues in the body. And to keep that from happening and to keep the body building, you want an antioxidant. Think about this in the mitochondria of the body, where antioxidants are so popular. People are always taking antioxidants like CoQ10, trying to prevent the degradation of the mitochondria, because that's where all of our energy is stored. And that's where a lot of free radicals are produced, and also where free radical damage can take place. So we are trying to slow down that free radical damage, and we want these antioxidants for that. So hopefully that made sense. It's a fun rabbit hole for you. And so there's a bunch of different types of antioxidants. One large group of antioxidants are flavonoids, and one type of flavonoid is quercetin. And you've probably heard of quercetin, especially if you do have seasonal imbalances. You've probably tried quercetin caps. So oftentimes quercetin is derived from nettle. And so nettle is a really great for supporting seasonal imbalances, and it's one that you really want to start taking preemptively, so that as you get closer to that seasonal shift, your body is loaded with quercetin antioxidants to keep the immune system strong and functioning properly. It's all about building the immune system over time, so that when you are, whether it's seasonal imbalances or some immune disruption based on going out and catching something, antioxidants help the body function properly. Nettle is a big one there, and freeze-dried nettle, quercetin isolated in those capsules. We don't have those, but they are great. Kidneys and Bladder Restore is one product left that does contain nettle. It's also a great herbal diuretic, and so that's why it's in kidney bladder, but you've got that nice quercetin component as well. So that's one that you can make as a tea. You can grow nettle, although it is incredibly invasive. I have a patch I hack back every year but I love it. Stinger has histamine and acetylcholine. It causes inflamed or irritated every time you get stung. People say that it's very therapeutic for joint discomforts as well. People will actually sting themselves intentionally with nettle for that reason. Another herb high in quercetin is hawthorn. Also in our eye health formula, eye bright, all quercetin rich and supportive for seasonal imbalances.
We're going to talk about superfood, especially and high energy with this holistic health mindset.
Building,
preparing. And that's another good way of having people thinking about cleansing too, is this isn't a one and done thing. You're going through cycles. And especially when you think about the rejuvenation of the body, it's not, you got to do it in stages. So that's why we say there's 2 really good periods of cleansing. And you're going to grow and change in that one stage. And then in another, you're going to need to change it up a little bit. You got to keep moving forward, keep progressing, and you see your body keep getting stronger. So that's where a lot of this superfood and high energy, the difference, they're both excellent. You can take either one. But when would it be a little bit more ideal for you? Well, the high energy, I would say that's when you're probably experiencing that adrenal fatigue. It is a mineral-rich formula. It does provide adrenal and kidney support. So and you'll notice the dosing on there is not as high as some of the other blends. You don't need much. I know I needed 1 capsule, and if I took it afternoon time, not sleeping that night. For me, with a certain degree of adrenal fatigue, looking at immune support, adaptogens, especially if you've been feeling depleted, blood pressure a little lower, might want to look at that one too. And then the superfood, it's Superfood Explosion. This has been around since the very beginning. He had
tried and true.
Dr. Morse had multiple blends. It's just this one Superfood Explosion. This is for any walk of life. A lot of fruit in this formula, vitamin rich. It's a good alternative to protein powders with whey or other types of plant proteins. This is an actual plant-based powder. If you're just starting out and your diet's not the greatest, you're making a transition, you need some of that more nutritive support, this is a good formula to start introducing more fruit, veggies, and herbs into your routine. Put it in water, coconut water, smoothie, green drink, or take the capsules even. But the high energy by nature, that's only capsules. If you don't like the sticky capsules, I'm one of those people. Open them up, put them in your smoothie.
Oh, that's great. Good idea. Jen's talking builders. We're high energy by nature. We were talking about this earlier as we were prepping for this podcast, and Jen was saying it was very stimulating for her. And that's because there's royal jelly in that formula. It's actually got a lot of great natural sugars in it. So it's definitely stimulating. And then there's also royal jelly and superfood, but it's much less. It's more fruit forward, as she was saying. So that's the difference between those two. And then since we're still talking builders, we're moving away from antioxidants in food. A lot of those fruits that we're talking about in Superfood Explosion, very antioxidant rich. Blueberries, of course. We all hear about how blueberries are high in antioxidants. That's one piece of getting those nutrients. Then there's the immune system builders, the adaptogens. Yes. We're talking about cellular resilience. Adaptogens, we're going to go more into this next month. We're going to have a guest with us, Rebecca from Everyday Alchemy, who is a wonderful herbalist. She'll be joining us, and we'll be having a whole conversation about what are adaptogens. But for now, we're going to talk about ashwagandha. I love it. We have an ashwagandha tincture, which is an extract of ashwagandha root. Adaptogens support the stress response through the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And so it's coming from the brain down into the adrenal glands above the kidneys, tying in kidney support as well. But why we love ashwagandha specifically, there's this great talk by a guy named David Foreman, and he's a naturopathic doctor, and he was talking about kind of the difference between different adaptogens and how ashwagandha, some adaptogens are for the stress of the mind, and some are for the stress of the body. And so there's different adaptogens that are good at doing one or the other, supporting either brain kind of stress on the brain versus stress on the body. When we're thinking stress on the body, we're thinking like physical stress versus mental stress. And so what's cool about ashwagandha is that it's, and he calls it the king of adaptogens, is because it plays in both fields. It has both supportive elements to it that support that body stress as well as that mind stress. And it's really a wonderful herb in that so a lot of adaptogens also contain this kind of neurotransmitter supportive piece. So when we're talking about that brain component of ashwagandha, we're talking about how when it comes to your neurotransmitters, those little They're these little tiny particulates that move from one neuron to the next. They're the messaging system, the chemical messaging system in the brain that's sending the message along the neurons, okay? So these neurotransmitters like GABA and serotonin, oxytocin, those are the ones you probably are all familiar with. So ashwagandha is not only promoting the production of neurotransmitters, it's also helping to inhibit or supports the kind of inhibition of the breakdown or the reuptake of those neurotransmitters. So without getting too deep into how that all works out, it essentially allows that neurotransmitter to stay in the synapses longer to maintain a positive impulse. Okay, so I have even more here on ashwagandha, but it's a really cool herb. It grows prolifically all over East Africa. It's also really good for libido because our libido can get really depleted when we are in a kind of constant fight or flight stressed state. So ashwagandha, it's a great tonic formula that you can take daily. It's building the immune system over time. And yeah, as far as adaptogens go, that is a great place to start. It's probably the most popular herb on the planet right now. So you might as well get on board because everybody else has. You can grow it sustainably. It overwinters in temperate regions. Let the roots grow for a couple of years. If you get a frost, bring it inside. It's in the Solanaceae family, so it might be sensitizing to people who have nightshade allergies. So just keep that in mind. So I'll talk about one more that I think is really important to mention that's in our Ultimate Immune formula as well as our bone and connective tissue support formula. It is deer antler. It is not an herb, of course. It is sustainably harvested off the forest floor. Jen will speak more to why it's so wonderful, but it's essentially helping with supporting healthy bone. And why is it important that we support healthy bone?
Going back to the immune system and pretty much the bone marrow, which is within the bone. And deer antler is supportive in the way that it produces the bone marrows, like your neutrophils and your leukocytes. And that's very important, obviously, for that immune response. So that's why deer antler is very good in Ultimate Immune and bone and connective tissue. The bone marrow is also the site of red blood cell and stem cell production. That's really what enables this cell, because these cells can become anything. That enables the constant replenishment of your immune cells, your B cell formation. That's what helps your immune spot adapt. Did you know your bones are the site for iron storage, blood cell formation, especially? Some people put two and two together. Deer antler is very good for immune support and also in bone and connective tissue for the health of the bones. It's just because it does support that critical component of the bone matrix, the bone marrow. Back to eye health. All right. How does it help with the sinuses and eustachian tubes?
We're talking about the formula, right?
The formula itself, the herbs, before we get into some of those remedy, like herbs for your compresses. How is that, the herbs and the eye health, going beyond just supporting of the nerve, the optic nerve and tissue? It's all connected. You got your sinuses. We tell you to drain. You were talking about that, not too long ago.
All that
herbs and the eye health. There you go. Keywords: lymph drainage. You got to move the lymph and the blood up in the head. Encourage the drainage.
In the research I've done with eyebright formula, its mechanism of action is it's more about clearing out the eyes because of its relationship to the sinuses. And so what eye health is really helping with, and it's high in quercetin, like we talked about earlier with all those great antioxidants, it also has a lot to do with helping to move out congestion in the sinuses. So through liquefying and having a bit of a mucolytic quality to it, it's opening up the sinuses and allowing the eyes to clear. So that's how the mechanism of, even though it gets the name eye health, you assume it's like directly impacting the eyes. No, it's really more about moving all that congestion out of the face.
It's clearing that pathway. It's that foundation.
Yep.
You can build on. You can't do it when it's congested. Aside from eyebright, what would you say? Because our heal tea could be used in a hot or cold compress, like prepare the tea, put a soft cloth in once it's not too hot, and apply it over your eyes until it cools, or stick it in the fridge overnight and then put that on if you wake up or you have those irritations. So aside from the heal tea, what do you think?
Heal is great because of that combination of both astringent and hydrating herbs. I also love 3-herb blend because it's got the mullein and the fenugreek, and those are both mucomodulators as well as hydrating. So if you've got a dry, itchy irritation, I would say 3-herb blend would be a really good one there. And those would be, I think, not to overcomplicate it, those would be my go-tos. But you can make the tea and soak a soothing cloth in it. They actually sell at some natural food stores this nice wool fabric that is good for compresses. You can soak, reuse it, and wash it. You can also get those little reusable tea bags and put some of our tea in that and soak it like that first, because I really love just using tea bags on the eyes. It's easy because all the herb is still there. Just make sure it's soft. Keep it in a cloth tea bag in your stewing pot, in your simmering pot, and then you let those cool down a little bit and put them on the eyes once those herbs have softened. If you don't have anything else on hand, chamomile tea bags is something most people have in their cabinet already. So especially the one that you forgot about for the last 10 years and it's still in there. I know you're out there. So grab that chamomile tea and use that as an eye compress. So now we're going to do one last little segment here, talk about another need state. For holistic health, we have one more formula, a few more formulas actually that we want to talk about. We're going to start with metal detox. So this is in our holistic health category, and we recommend it a lot when we're talking about detox and protocols. How do I get the chemicals and material residue out of my body?
Yep. Start with metal detox formula. Of course, diet and making sure you're eliminating kidneys, skin, liver, gut. We're going to get to the liver in a moment. Those are very important. Metal detox, how it's formulated, and I think you can speak more to that, is this formula is intended to support those elimination pathways, get some of those residues out of there. And that's another reason why we say in the gut too, stay hydrated, eat properly, because you're doing all this work with this formula. You do want to make sure that, again, you're enabling these other pathways and putting the good foods in to just get the most out of it. And sweating's still important. And of course, supporting your liver too. We'll talk about that in a moment, because that's a liver's a factory that handles so many things, toxicity being a big one.
Yeah, the main ingredient in this is parsley. In 2018, there's one study, not a human study, but with water from a mountainous region in the Philippines, filtered through fresh parsley leaf and stem. The study concluded that parsley collected chloroform and removed it, as well as had a lead bioabsorption ability. So for sure we can say that chloroform and lead are bonding with parsley. I can't speak to any other metals because I couldn't find other studies, but traditional herbal practice uses parsley in this way. It's known for its ability to remove heavy metals from the body. That is why it is the star of the metal detox formula. Now we're going to talk about the liver.
Yeah, the liver. Yeah, because that is an organ that does process heavy metals. We know that the lymphatic system deals with waste and it has to work simultaneously with other systems to eliminate it. Well, the liver is one of those. So, we get a lot of questions about what's the appropriate blood work to look at and whatnot. And even though you need to talk with your medical professional about that. But a lot of what we consider how the liver is actually, there's the albumin levels, there's the AST and ALT levels that your physician's usually looking at to gain some insight into how your liver is functioning. Because a lot of times, again, that's part of that important liver, kidney, and skin channel for elimination. They're also looking at your kidneys, like your glomerular filtration rate, your creatinine levels too. And the insight with this too is something what Colleen was talking about earlier, that oxidative stress and liver imbalances. And then also, how is your inflammatory response? So looking at your liver, making sure you're supporting it, and because it does have that role in eliminating those heavy metals and those chemical residues, it's got its own antioxidant defense system. So we want to make sure that part of your cleansing is supporting that. Aside from metal detox, you can even alternate metal detox and liver skin if you would like, in my opinion. There's a lot of good herbs in the liver skin formula. Since we talked about parsley and metal detox, what's a good one or two in the liver skin that are very supportive?
Well, milk thistle is the primary ingredient that we really are honing in on here. Milk thistle, I just got this I wrote this article, but I was like, I want to refresher real quick on milk thistle. So if you go to our 10 herbs for digestion, you can learn a little bit more of some liver supportive herbs because, this organ is tied into the digestive system. So milk is a wonderful tonic herb that is called a hepatotrophorestorative. So it's restoring kind of the function of the liver is essentially what that means. It's also a hepatoprotective, so it's good at protecting the liver over time. And it's hepatic tissue regeneration before and after toxic exposure. Milk thistle is the star of the show there. But I will say about liver skin formula, what else I love about it is that it's a bitters formula. And bitters are really important, not necessarily in the context of what we're discussing right now. I suppose so. They're stimulating to the liver because what bitters are doing is they are stimulating all digestive functions and secretions. So you taste that bitter flavor and it's hitting a receptor in your tongue, which is sending a signal to your entire digestive tract. It's time to eat. Food is coming down the track. We start producing saliva, hydrochloric acid in the stomach. We start secreting bile from the gallbladder, which is a part of that liver detox pathway. So there definitely is something to say for bitters being supportive to the liver and the health of the liver. And I know that a lot of people take capsule formulas of a lot of our products, but I recommend with the liver skin formula to take it as the tincture and let it sit on your tongue so you really taste that bitter flavor. Pancreas support formula is good for that. We now have a milk thistle capsule that is new to the Dr. Morse family of formulas. It is a super concentrated milk thistle dandelion complex that you can get both through our site or at Amazon.com. And it is, quite a lot of milk thistle in that. I believe it's 15,000 milligrams per dose of milk thistle. Would you take these together? What did we decide, Jen?
Most people start with milk thistle or something along those lines. But when you want that added benefit, that overlapping body system benefit for cleansing, when you're in this detoxification stage, maybe in not maintaining, that's when I would say jump in with the liver skin. And then off season, off cleansing, milk thistle. Keep it. And take it easy, especially after holidays. If you're partaking in some enjoyment, help yourself out.
So we're talking about whether to combine milk thistle capsules, which are strong, with the liver skin. Start with milk thistle. If you really have some liver toxicity, if your liver needs some love, it's always good to know what's working for you. And so I like the idea of starting with milk thistle just to see if milk thistle is all you need. And just keep it simple. And sometimes when we give herb complexes and you feel better, it's great, but we don't really know what it was. That it is, of course, really what we do here is it is everything. Opening up channels of elimination. It is having a healthy diet. It is supporting the liver. But it is sometimes nice, especially with specific conditions or imbalances, to know what's working for you. It's good to know when you have an herbal ally. Milk thistle could be that for you. Check it out. Try it on its own. See if it's all you need.
Yep. Personalize it for you. Everybody hits a point where you can fine tune it to your body. You might evolve from milk to something else. Don't be afraid to work with herbs on their own. Learn from your body. It's a growing journey, not just a healing one.
A great note to end on. This healing journey. We're here with you. We are on this journey together. Thank you for joining us for another fun, full podcast about holistic health. It's been a pleasure, Jen.
Look forward to next month. And our guest.
Thank you all for being here. Definitely check out all of our archived webinars and podcasts so that you can really catch up with everything we've been talking about. We have another podcast coming up next month with our friend, and we're not going to be talking about any body system in specific. Our next podcast is all about just winter wellness. So it's going to be a really fun episode with lots of great recipes for you to try out to keep you warm and toasty and healthy all winter long. So don't miss that. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Look forward to talking to you again too, Colleen. And
you too, Jen.
Have a good day and rest of the month, everyone.
Thanks all. Bye.